Welcome, everyone. Today is April the 14th, and it's Sandra Alexei here from Game Changer. It's the new self-discovery book. It's about knowing yourself, relationships, the Aquarian relationship. And also, if you go into the show me, you'll see my website, mypersonalmuse.com. I do astrology, numerology. I'm a spiritual business coach. But enough about me, because we have this wonderful guest. But I will ask you something. I would appreciate it if you would share, if you would comment, and if you would subscribe. And if you put a comment, once a month, I do a free reading, a free mini reading, and we do it Zoom. Now, today, okay, what we have is a special guest. And it was through the ethers that we came together. That's the beauty when we talk about energy and frequency and everything, how we meet. And as crazy as the world is, this whole idea of technology, look what it does for us. It's marvelous, okay? And so today I have Debbie here, and she's from the United Kingdom, and she's author, astrologer, many things. So I want her to share her story. And then any one of you that want to connect with her, and she can tell us who she is and what she does. Thank you, Debbie, so much.
Hi, thank you very much for having me on. Well, my name's Debbie. I live in the UK, and I guess I started my journey as an astrologer. And I can remember very early on as a child, I used to get comic books, and they used to have your stars and what was happening, your horoscopes, and I was very interested from a very young age about what made people tick, what made them who they were. And I always had that, and as I got through my teens, I started studying astrology, and did a very basic course, and then I got more involved. And when I went out to work, I worked at the BBC. I always used to go on a Thursday evening once a fortnight down to astrological meetings and mix with like-minded people. So it was always there with me. When I got older, I got more involved with psychic work. I think that's kind of just a natural transition. And I think sometimes when you have a trauma or a traumatic experience, it pushes you onto another path. And around about 1982, I was engaged to somebody or other, let's just say from my past, and left in the past, and that didn't work out. And it pushed me into wanting to understand more about connecting with spirit, and I suppose wanting to know, like most people want to know, what's going to happen to them. You have a romance, it doesn't work, you feel very alone, very isolated, but millions of us all go through the same experience. I mean, eventually I did get over that. I think I got over that quite quickly. It felt like years, but it just went. Sometimes you find you feel as if you're under a dark cloud for years, and then something lifts. I believe this is really, it feels almost like an astrological transit moving on, and you can feel it. You can actually feel it if you're tuned into that kind of thing. And so it led me into going to see psychics at the College of Psychic Studies, which is in London, by Hyde Park. If anybody's interested, South Kensington. And And I did a clairvoyancy course there in the 80s. And from there, I started cautiously, I suppose, because I was working at the same time, but giving clairvoyant readings to people. And I think this is how we evolve. It's a very organic thing that, you know, you start with one thing, and then you meet other people who've done other things, and then you get interested. And I guess it's also what you put out in the universe. After in the late 80s, I met my husband. I had a sort of a blip in the late 80s. You could say it was a rather romantically busy time without, you know, in the nicest possible way. And and you do realize, if you can read that what the universe is signposts along the way, and although it can be very painful, but they often throw soulmates in your path, but these soulmates are not necessarily there for keeps. They're there just to push you on, or get you away from other people. So if I go back to this fiance of mine from the early 1980s, we kind of carried on, we staggered on till the late 80s. And I kept saying, you know what, I wish I'd meet somebody really fabulous who could pull me away from this connection, because I really didn't want to be connected with him, and he was mucking around and playing games, and I couldn't extricate myself. And I was going through a lesson learning, as we all do during these times. It also coincided with my Saturn return, so it had all that sort of going on. And then I met this guy who was amazing, but it was a soul connection merely to extricate me from this fiance. Once the job had been done, both men disappeared from my life. It was done. And then I about 6 months after that, I met my husband. And you know, we all have to eat. We all have to sort of pay the mortgage or pay the rent, whatever we're doing. So the psychic work, and the clairvoyant work, and the astrology carried on. Even though I was sort of working in the City of London, I found myself working in the law. And it wasn't until, I guess, 2009, I had been writing sporadically. I think when you're doing a day-to-day job which is functional and non-spiritual, you do tend to find that your psychic, your creativity takes a second, you know, is on the back burner. I always say on the back burner. So in 2009, I had been working, I was doing contract legal work in the City of London, and that coincided with, don't know if it was, you know, legal, financial things going on in the UK, and work tended to dry up. So I found myself in a situation where there wasn't a lot of work around for me. And at the same time, my cousin, who was also working in the law and who had done a tarot reading course in London, in Covent Garden, actually, very nice part of London. She was also working in the law, and I could see she was getting tied up in knots because she had been carrying on quite nicely, a bit boring, the work, but it was paying the mortgage. And then all of a sudden, in her work, they brought in somebody over her head, so somebody who was keeping an eye on her, and she wasn't having any of it. As you've said, Sandra, I've got Sun Aries, Moon Pisces. My cousin has Moon Pisces, Sun Pisces, Moon Aries. So we were very in sync. you know, we're
Right.
very interesting. So she was getting really, really worked up about this girl who was watching her. She was on the phone too long and what she was doing. And I said to her, and she's a bit older than me, she's 5 years older than me. I said, you know, why are you putting yourself through this? Why are you doing? Oh, it's a principle. And I said to her, well, you know what? I said, what do you really want to do? So she said, what I really want to do is to do my tarot reading full time. So I said, well, why don't you join me? Maybe we can go into business together and do something. And that's what we did. And I was, by this time, I had my things I was doing. I was writing books on twin flames, soul connections, and, you know, doing that sort of thing. She was working on a psychic hotline, and we decided to do clairvoyant readings in pubs.
All right.
And so, you know, so the spirit world met the spirit, if you like.
Right.
Yeah. And so, and that's what we did. We used to, we did it. We were very, it was really good fun because we would drive to certain places in beautiful parts of London, beautiful parts of the UK. We'd go and meet the manager of the pub. We'd tell them what we would like to do, and then they would put up posters for us, and then we would perhaps 2 weeks later go in and do
Right.
readings and this kind of thing. So it was very interesting. I always used to say I would never read for somebody who was drunk, because anybody who's intoxicated, their energies are all mixed up.
Right.
And you really can't, because when you're working clairvoyantly, you're working on somebody's energy. And if it's all mushed up, so to speak, or if people are on some kind of very strong medication, especially antidepressive medication, it really kind of, their energy is like a flat line to me. You can't get it's like there's no electricity that you can work on, but you have to try. So we did this for quite a long time. We did this for a number of years. And at some point, we decided that we would go our separate ways. She was doing other stuff. I was writing more, and I do a lot of work via Zoom and Skype for overseas people. I then did a number of hypnotherapy courses because, again, linking to psychic work, I've always been very interested in soul connections. Soul connections are forged by people who have shared past lives. And of course, I was very, very interested in that.
Right.
And so I did hypnotherapy with that, and it led me on to doing courses in weight management or virtual gastric band through hypnotherapy, smoking cessation, and this kind of work, and working with people who suffer from anxiety and depression. So it's all, I guess, part of the alternative and metaphysical world. And back some years ago, probably about 2016, I had a message from Spirit to put together a directory of people working in New Age, doing New Age work, which encompasses a great deal. And I don't, and I feel also that people who work in New Age work, that, you know, I have always offered free advertising. And there was an enormous response to this. At first, I thought to myself, initially, when I thought about it, I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll just make it for people in my county. You know, I live just north of London, in Hertfordshire. And in the town I live, it's kind of the centre of the British film industry in Elstree and Boreham Wood. But I kept getting a voice in my head said, no, go bigger, go bigger. So I thought, oh, well, you know, maybe I'll encompass that what they call the home counties. Those are the counties that surround London. And they say, no bigger, no bigger. So I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll just make it. And so it went on like this. It was bigger, it's bigger. And I thought, you know what? It would be lovely to connect with people globally so that there would be a global New Age directory connecting people, and that's what I produced. It's one of the things that I've been doing, and I've been doing it since 2016. So I'm taking bookings, so to speak, for 2022 now. So it's been going for quite some time. I have people advertising from the USA and Canada, so many, in fact, from USA and Canada, that I actually had a spin-off directory just covering North America, which I probably will bring out in 2022 for the updated. And Australia, New Zealand.
But there's where your North Node in Aquarius, in the 11th house.
11th house, yes, that's it.
Beautiful, on purpose. And the world.
Yeah, why not?
Yes.
And you know, I'm always of the opinion that, you know, you just have to go for it. You've got to know what you've got to stand back, look at it, and just go for it. You know, life's too short to worry too much about, you know, what people think of you. I've never really cared, oh, what's that person going to think of me? I've just, you know, we're all the same. We all are basically the same. I guess, you know, even when I've worked in offices, if people respect me, I respect them. I think they have to earn respect.
Mm-hmm.
And just because they're a manager of whatever it is, doesn't mean that they're any different from me. We all have the same bodily functions. We all look the same, and that is it. And that is it. Why, you know, I'm never of the opinion that anybody's any better than anybody else, because we all have our gifts and we all have our strengths.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And as you're talking, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh my God, I have to hook you up with Matthew. I have to hook you up because he's actually from England. He lives here and he does pinkies. And then I work with a group in New York. Okay. Brandon in his group, and he does consciousness training, and he has a whole group of people. I just interviewed a lady that does Akashic records. And so, so for me, it's like pulling everybody together. And it was like, we were just meant to meet. And I guess that's one of the things that I can say to people: as you change, sometimes the universe knows better, because I felt the same thing, that I've maybe been in a relationship, it didn't work. And I always say the divine knows better than me. So I just have to go.
I think also, Sandra, you know, I think as some of us are control freaks, so that we think we can control everything. You can't box with God. You can't do that. And I think once you know that in this lifetime you are not necessarily always in the driving seat, it takes a lot of the pressure off. I mean, I'm one of these people who, when I lost jobs in the past, probably because I had a big Aries mouth, I always felt exhilarated when they said, "Oh, very sorry, but we don't need you anymore," or some rubbish. And I felt exhilarated because I thought, you know, life, the universe is now moving me on to something. And rather than feeling terrible about it, I feel great. It's a bit sort of quirky, but that's how I've always felt. You know, if something didn't work out, I never felt, oh, I wasn't good enough for them, or they were not good enough for me. I never thought that way. I just thought, well, here we go, back on the bus again, onto somewhere else.
And you know, it's so funny because where are we? We are sitting with Aries. And the bottom line is we have a stellium in Aries. And I say right now, it's like the perfect storm. And a word is ignite. Everything is igniting. Okay. And with you having your sun in Aries, and then we're moving to the Taurus, it's beautiful. I think that we met at the perfect time for a specific reason. And I want to share you with everybody. And I want people to connect with you too, because I think they can interview, you can interview them. It makes really, really good. To me, that's how the world works. And so we don't have to get into these little drama and I'm like, we're not a bunch of kids nowadays. It's like, you are drawn to people of like mind, of kind of the tribal, and it's like you just have this kind of, it's like a soul agreement. It's like it's a soul kind of thing. Because
exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's just, you know, when you meet people, you feel it's a recognition. It's a recognition of their energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And so,
you know,
so you have your directory that you're doing. That's one of your main things. And then you're writing books, and then you do readings and sessions.
And I write scripts and plays and stuff.
Oh, do you?
Yes. I've just had a book published of short plays that I wrote some time ago, and I'm actually having published very shortly. My publisher sent me the proof of it. It's a film script called Karmic Cycle. So it's a thriller, but it's set against an artist who lives in Brighton, which is on the south coast of England, and it's about her. It's about karma. It's about past lives, but it's also ostensibly a thriller. It's about a murder.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I keep myself busy.
Well, I would say busy is a great word. I think that you're very engaged in life. And I think that that's the beauty of a soul that is alive, and that the frequency is there. Because so many people say they're going to retire. I always say, I'll never retire. Okay, I don't believe in it. I say semi. And my very first teacher, who just passed away, Chris McCrae, at 96. And I got to go and see her last year. I loved her. She was my first teacher, and she just finished a book in her 90s. She was doing tours. She is with associations, and she does sessions and that. And I think that I don't find that anything I do, and I'm sure you do, is I'm creative. So I think we're creating every day. So I've been a teacher, I've been a spa consultant, I've written books. It's just like, and so what's next is to be alive.
Yes, well, that's it. And I think, you know, when you work for yourself, it's totally different than working for a company or a firm. I mean, my late father, bless him, he retired at 87. He had his own jewelry business in London, and he didn't want to retire. It was my mother that said to him, you know, this, that, and the other, and you should. And no, he was quite happy to get the train into central London, and he was in his 80s. I mean, that takes a lot. And so he was, yeah, I think that was great. I don't think writers or clairvoyant people or psychics, they ever retire. They just carry on and on and on.
Exactly. I taught for 20 years, and I never wanted to go to university, but the universe took me there. I've done a lot of different things, and the universe just takes me and I follow. And so I would work with different school boards and that type of thing. But then I would leave, and then I would move, stay to Hawaii and do work, and I would go here. So it was always, but I loved everything that I did. I cannot say there was one thing that I didn't like, Debbie. And as soon as I felt that it wasn't going to work, and so even I would do all of my spiritual work after I taught. So then I would do readings on weekends and that type of thing.
Yeah, sure. What did you teach? What did you teach?
I taught all cosmetology. So in Canada, we had to have an education degree, okay, to be able to teach it in the public schools. So I was a cosmetologist. So, and I was a master judge. I competed, Okay. So, and I was very much in the industry. And then of course I had written my books. So I was a really good commodity that the school boards wanted me because of what I had done. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so I loved my work. And so I taught them aesthetics, hair, whatever, and the apprenticeship program. And then they would go on. And a lot of my students competed. A lot of them I'm still friends with today. Okay. And so it was like, that was just, and of course, that's typical of Capricorn, the teacher. That's why I said to you, have you ever thought about a school? Like I would never, and I want to start doing a little bit more teaching because I find people want to know, well, what does it mean when the new moon happens and it comes in this house? But now I have to learn how to put documents up when I do a Zoom. So I got to find, because I'm.
Oh yeah, well, you share the document. You have it up on your screen,
I
and
know.
then you, yeah. Oh, you know.
No, I know how it's supposed to work, but when I try to work it, I can't make it work. And so I get really frustrated, okay? But that's my next thing to learn.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
And
Makes
so
sense.
I think it's fascinating. So I'm so excited. So I'm so happy. You tell us anything more you want, but I'm excited to get you connected with a lot of my friends. And I hope you
Thank you
guys
very
can
much.
do Zooms together and they can become part of your directory. And if there's anything I can ever do, and if whenever you want to have another Zoom and share what's going on in your world,
Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank
let's
you.
do it. And so we just got to get your hashtags, but is there anything else before we close, Debbie, that you want to share?
Yeah, I think I would say I work on a psychic hotline. I think they're based in New Zealand, and it's always interesting that people, you know, they take synastry obviously is very popular. Everybody wants to know how they connect romantically with other people, or they see that there is, for example, a Venus-Mars connection, and they
Right.
immediately think, you know, it's all wonderful. But you know, I always say to people that before you even do a synastry comparison, it's very important to look at the individual charts as people, to see what their innate ability is to have healthy relationships. Because no matter how good the synastry, it may still not work out. I mean, I wrote a book called Celebrity Soulmates and their astrological synastry. So we have, for example, Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. And if you look at their synastry, it's amazing. There's ascendant sun connections, sun moon connections, and all the great things. And then you wonder, well, you know, why didn't these guys stay together? They obviously, it was a very strong soul connection because they couldn't live with each other, couldn't live without each other. And then of course, you know, she had a very active Venus, I believe Venus conjunct Uranus or Venus trine Uranus, one of these things going on, which he was had that wonderful Welsh voice, but was a drunkard. She was born in the UK, a very spoilt, beautiful woman, and they argued all the time. I think it was really a question of, you know, so when you start picking away at the synastry and you do the composite charts and you go in depth into it, you find that, you know, everything, whilst on the surface it looked great, there were certain power struggles going on. So I thought it was a very interesting case study.
You know, I find it fascinating because that's one of the reasons that I went on, because my other books, one's on makeup, and I was a spa consultant. So it's how to build the business of spa and that type of thing. And so I started this book probably about 10 or 12 years ago, simply because of doing readings. I seen the breakdown in relationships, and it was always why. So it was control, I'm beholden, you're my slave. There's many, many different things, okay? And something to, you know how we get messages, and the message was, okay, what is a relationship all about? Well, the first relationship from the Oracle of Delphi, okay, is like to know thyself and to thine own self be true. So that's why Game Changer became how to love with your head instead of your heart. And actually I have three really, really powerful people that put their names on it. They read it, the manuscript and whatever, and one's a coach. And so I just questioned, like, why? It's an Aquarian. Okay, so with the Pisces, what is it? We deal with our emotions. But in the Aquarian relationships, what do we deal with? They're very impersonal. Aquarius is important.
Yeah.
I have a Venus in Aquarius, okay? So, and it's like really looking at it. So I think the key is to be able to really look at yourself. And then I did some videos on relationships, because from my understanding and what I've been through the last few years is actually in this Aquarian thing, we're asked to every relationship. This is my thing, okay, is that it's like you let it go. And what did you learn from it? And right now we're having a lot of souls connecting. So you're in a relationship and all of a sudden you might be somewhere and boom, somebody from a past life comes and you go, shh, I got to go over there. So now you have to make a decision, okay? If you're not cognitive dissonance, you actually have to be very clear, use your discernment and whatever, and say, what is this all about? And really be emotionally honest with the partner you're with the person you're meeting to see. So I think we're in I love that you brought that up. This is a totally, from my point of view, the frequency has been raised. And you,
Okay.
because people say, well, the composite, it says it's going to be beautiful. And I go, but there's more to it.
There is more to it. And, you know, sometimes if somebody, you know, you don't, you know, if you're married or you're in a solid relationship, you don't ask this, and you're happy in that. You don't ask for somebody from your past or a past life connection to suddenly come in and muddy the waters and throw everything out of kilter. It does happen, but it's, I always say, especially with twin soul connections, I think really, I mean, a lot of people's approach me or come for readings because they feel they're in a twin soul connection. I don't take that away from them, but what I do say is that I believe that twin soul connections only really happen to people who are quite a long way along their spiritual path, and they recognize it. It's for people, it's for really old souls who recognize that the energy that's coming in is something, and it can be very, very overpowering. It's not just about the synchronicity, about telepathic links. It's not even necessarily about sex. But it's the effect of what happens as a result of you connecting with that person and how it changes your life path.
Right. I think that's it. And I also believe, David, that there's some people that are not relationship material simply because they've been in a relationship and their major relationship, we have a lot of blended families now, is with karmically, usually somebody within their family, their own children. And so they can't be with you. Because to me, in a relationship, it's here and here, okay, and the family, and that is there, even in blended. So I think right now, that would be great if you would put a seminar or a session on that type of thing. I think that, yeah, no, I think that's my creative thing. I just hear things because I know that that's what people are looking for. And I love your the way you see it, the way you perceive it. I think it's so real, because somebody goes, no, we need to have a chart done. No, we have to do this. Because I just said, I think in one of my things, you know, it can look that everything's going to be all right, but then somebody walks into your life and everything changes. And that was for a reason.
But the thing is, you don't get any growth without pain. In order, if
Right.
everything, you know, you've got to go through the bloody thing, the pain. You're not expecting it. You're going along, and then that happens. You know, you catch up with somebody from your past or whatever, and there is a synchronicity, a special bond, and then again, once. I mean, even with twin flames, it doesn't mean you're going to be together forever, but the link is always there. So they affect whatever they have to do, and then you find your life has changed, and then you sometimes feel that person is ebbing away, and that again is part, I feel, of the astrological transit, again saying, well, you know, they've fulfilled their obligation to you for this lifetime, and that's it, and goodbye, Charlie.
I love that. And so the whole thing is, instead of being upset with them, if you try and hold them or stay it together, I feel there's a dishonor, there's not an emotional honesty, there's whatever. And yes,
Yeah.
it will hurt, but it's like I always say, it's like, what did I learn? How did I change? How did they affect me? Because usually there is an effect. And I also hope that they've affected, and my term now is about uncoupling. So
that's right. And it's not always so easy to do in the moment, but with hindsight, which is a great thing. You know, if you take, I always say to people, and perhaps that's my active Uranus again, take a step back. Take a step back.
yeah, that's probably my Venus in Aquarius too. And we both have
Take a step back.
And
Have
so
a look at it. Analyze it.
I always say, be the observer,
That's right.
be the witness. Okay,
That's
are you reacting or responding, and what's the big picture there for you, rather than being, there's where I'm saying the Aquarian energy isn't as emotional. And so now I know why the game changer, and it was actually the coach, he's the 10th top coach in the US, relationship coach. He says, what we're having to learn is we're having to learn to love with the head. For to me, it's balancing head, heart, and Hera, masculine and feminine. Okay, and right and left brain, because what is an Aquarian is more whole, it's more self-sufficient. It's not, we don't come with the thing of need. I don't need you. It's not the codependency. Okay.
No.
It's
But I think what else is interesting is that, I mean, you can meet your twin soul, but it may be that your twin soul is not as evolved as you are. So they don't necessarily see it as a twin soul connection. They see it as a kind of, oh, you know, I like her, or he likes me, or what have you. It's that is always the problem, and where the pain comes is that they're not evolved, and you have to, I suppose, take the step back and think, okay, the reason why they're not reacting the way they should, and they're playing out all their old scripts, in inverted commas,
right.
Don't get too close, or, you know, I've had instances where, you know, before I married, that, you know, relationships where the guy kept talking about old relationships, like it was like a skunk spraying out the territory. So you try and get close, they go with all these girls' names, and you'll go, whoa, and you get back again. And that's the commitment phobic guy, you know.
Oh my God, I love it. So you can talk about the commitment phobic guy. You can talk about the narcissist. I got a great idea. What we're going to finalize today, but I have a really good suggestion. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this to everybody, but you have to agree. I think that it would be really good if we did another Zoom, and if people brought questions, Like, so they could, as they reading this, they can put, yeah, I would like this question. Then I can send you the questions. So,
Okay.
and then if they want to have a personal reading, they can have a personal reading or do whatever they want. But it gives us a scope to cover, because I really think the big thing is now is relationships, especially with the lockdowns. A lot of people are on booze cruise. A lot of people can't stand the person that they're with they're married or their boyfriend or whatever. I mean, okay, let's go.
Let's start with them 24/7.
That's right. But so how do you feel about that?
Well, my husband is a landscape gardener, so he's been out. He's been able to work outside, and
That's Ben. You're busy. You are very active in your own way. You're engaged in your life.
And you know, if you were to look at my husband's chart, I mean, he's Cancerian. We've got a lot of sort of challenging aspects.
But he's right on. He's on your
7 pounds, yes. But the thing is, there is respect, because you know, most people, if they're looking at sun sign astrology, they'll see, oh, your Aries, his Cancer, that's a no-no. But I've been surrounded by Cancerians all my life, both my brothers, my son, my husband, they're all Cancerian. But my point is that with my husband, he doesn't he's not the jealous type. He accepts what I do. He's got his own spiritual values. He is quite happy watching soccer. He's not English, he's Israeli, so but he follows Liverpool Football Club, who are quite successful here. Poor fool. But you know, the thing is, it's about respect and giving people space. And I don't like jealousy in relationships. Some people love it because they love the drama of somebody feeling bad, and I just can't. I hate all these games.
But you know, I do have to say, Debbie, that's where we're shifting. And that's the shift from Aquarius. And that's why people are very confused. And I think you have a really good handle on that. And that's why I'm saying, would you be prepared the next time that we do a Zoom, maybe in a month or something, if we work on the relationships, a different kind of relationships?
Sure, absolutely happy to.
And then at this point, I'm going to say to people, the comment that you put some comments in if you would like to know about, say, a narcissistic relationship, a twin flame.
Sure, absolutely.
The different kinds of relationships, or some
commitment phobic people, commitment phobic guy, you know, commitment phobic people.
Right.
What is their fear? I mean, it's fear, isn't it? It's fear that comes.
Yeah, because and there's really two emotions, one's fear and one's love. And so where are we coming from? And that's where we have to do the work on ourselves. So I think this was really exciting, and I look forward to a next time that we turn in with Debbie. Okay, and then next time you can actually show some of your books, but I'll have the hashtags to your website, the books they can look up and everything, Debbie. And so I want to thank everybody. And again, please listen. I want you to share this. I would like you to make a comment. There's going to be a prize at the end, but more importantly, this is going to be the next step to be able to, we're going to bring Debbie back, and anybody that's in the healing, psychic, metaphysical world, connect with me, because I want to connect you with them. Like I have different people I'm thinking about already that I will share the video, and I'm going to say, I suggest that you get a hold of you, and I so appreciate it. And it's been a lot of fun, and thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Been lovely talking to you today.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the pause.